you very much, everyone, for coming. Well, College for Vedic Studies Turkey, this is for us the first question and answer session, so thank you very much for being so interested, and we would like to welcome also Devaki Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for agreeing to do this session with the devotees. Devaki Mataji, she's a senior devotee. I'm not good with years, but early 80s, right?
85.
85.
I joined.
You joined the Krishna consciousness movement in Australia, right? And you were also, for 10 years, developing the temple in Riga and other ex-Soviet Union countries.
Not just in Riga, actually. Yes, but we had devotees coming from all over the former Soviet Union.
And at that time, you were in a Grihastha ashram.
That's right.
And developing various programs. At the end of the 90s, you, how can I say that?
Moved on
Moved on
to the next ashram.
Yeah. You said you were not Varnaprastha, but can I say renounced the order? Or?
Yeah, renounced order.
And she began preaching, like in various countries. And mostly you preached in Ukraine, in Bangladesh, also in some former Soviet Union countries, European countries, also in Canada. But I think that your preaching spread everywhere. So through the years, which is very nice. Also, I don't remember in which year, but you established an institute for spiritual culture.
Yeah, that was, let me think, 2014.
Yeah. Where
I have a brochure with me, so I have to have a look when it was.
And you can actually they can actually find it on the internet. You have your web page, so you can read all about the activities that Mataji is doing in this platform of this institution for spiritual culture. And through this, of course, you are also publishing your books.
Yes.
So you have published 4 books. They're there for everyone who are interested. It's a book about spiritual culture, sheltering relationships, entering the Grihastha ashram, and about the false ego. How did you call it?
Our constant companion and troublemaker.
So, and also because of your experience throughout the years, and because you really did live a renounced life, you can have...
Trying to.
Yeah, but you have so many realizations, and you're also, I mean, most of us are green, and there's so much we can learn from you. So in that sense, we really are grateful that you came. And this question and answer session is a place where it's actually imagined as a place where the devotees can establish relationships with the preachers, like more intimate relationships. And how do you establish a relationship in spiritual life? Is by asking questions. It's also in the Bhagavad Gita. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, and it doesn't have to be a diksha, like the one who gives you initiation. It can be anyone who has experience and who is self-realized in a certain way through his experience in spiritual life, and he can show you this knowledge about the absolute truth. So this is how we try to develop spiritual relationships with the preachers. So this is like a platform for you. And in this session you can ask general questions, or if you read some of the books, you can also ask questions regarding the themes that are described in the books of Devaki Mataji. So that's all for me. So now I will...
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for arranging this all. So it's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here and make myself available. Thank you.
We're very happy. Thank you. So would you like to maybe say something in the sense of your experience with the Zurich temple? How do you feel now when you came? How do you feel about devotees? Do they approach you? And then maybe everyone else can also, if they have some questions.
Yes, I mean, I've been here now for 3 weeks, I believe. Yes, a couple of days longer than 3 weeks. And it's been really nice, very inspiring. And I mean, it's not the first time I'm in Zurich, but when you stay a little longer, you actually experience more the whole mood of a community. And I am actually quite impressed, compared to other countries in the Western world. Zurich is pretty dynamic. Yes, there's so many nice people coming. I mean, Nityananda's appearance on a Monday or working day, there were so many people there. I was really surprised and impressed. So I said to Damodar Prasad Prabhu already, when I'm traveling in summer, I do keep my eyes open for girls and boys, I call them, to send them to the ashram here. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think they would have a good experience here and good training and yeah.
And we need devotees. There's so many services.
Yeah, so not only we need devotees, but we want to give devotees a good opportunity to get some training and have some nice association, and I think they can get this here, definitely. So I may send you a few people.
That would be good.
Yeah, no, it's been a wonderful time, and I'm 2 more weeks here, and yeah, I feel I found a new home here in Zurich. Even though I do feel at home everywhere, wherever there's nice devotees. But here I do feel especially at home, and all the devotees have actually already become dear to me, so yes. Good.
So, dear devotees, did you maybe think about something that you would like to ask Mataji? Anyone can.
Can you close the window? Sure.
Really? Is it too cold for you, is it?
I just felt a little breeze, I don't know why.
Okay, well don't close it completely, so we have a bit of oxygen.
That was the first question.
Yeah, so, yes, you.
So you said that Krishna and his name is your non-different from each other. But for us, especially for me now, it's very difficult to
realize
and realize that.
Yes.
And do you have any
so the question is, Krishna and his holy name are non-different, not so easy to realize. Well, I have to tell you frankly, even after chanting for 37 years, I also have not fully realized this, definitely. But it's just good to hear this again and again, because I do like to give holy name retreats also. And I usually always start with this, just to remind us that yes, Krishna and the holy name are non-different. And it means, actually, when we really endeavor to get on deeper levels of chanting, we can get the same benefit as meeting Krishna face to face. Wow, amazing. You know, when you imagine meeting Krishna face to face, that's quite something. And the same benefit we can actually get when chanting the holy name. So even if we don't realize this, we simply accept it. And therefore we try to keep the holy name as a very precious jewel. And we chant the holy name with respect, with attention, not lightly and cheaply, you know. That we can all do. That we really try to chant, you know, when sitting down in a corner where we are not disturbed by anything, and we really try to call out to Krishna, we connect with Krishna when we chant. We can think to ourselves, Krishna, I know you are there. Please accept me. Prabhupada says this, that the chanting should be like a crying to be accepted by Krishna. Because who do we think we are? You know, that Krishna so easily accepts us, that we are allowed entrance to the spiritual world. This is not a cheap thing. So there has to be some longing, some crying. Rupa Goswami says, lolyam, you know, this longing for Krishna. With that feeling in the heart, we have to chant. So, it's a matter of practicing again and again. Chanting is hard work, actually, if we take it seriously, you know. But if we don't take it seriously and we just chant mechanically in the bus, on the way to work, while driving, one hand in the bead bag, some people are looking at each other here with a smile. Yes. Yes, I mean, of course you probably have so many holy name retreats and events, but on Monday I met, what's her name, Kamaniya Mataji from Davos. I actually know her through internet. And yeah, I was thinking maybe we should have a holy name retreat here in Davos. You know, I mean, you can't have too many holy name retreats, you know. And I have a whole systematic journey with exercises and materials and exercise in japa and kirtan and it's, yeah, I mean, for me it's always again and again a wake-up call, and it polishes our chanting habits, you know, because so easily we get into bad habits, and we need this reminder what chanting is all about, you know. And life is just full of distractions. So that's why at least once a year we should go in seclusion for 2-3 days and completely focus on the holy name and nothing else. Usually on the holy name retreats, I even request people to give me their mobile phones. Because the mobile phone is one of the main distractions. That's why I don't even have one. I live without a mobile phone, believe it or not. It would drive me nuts to have one. Yeah, and people are so attached to the mobile phone, they can't even live for 3 days without a mobile phone. You know, it's sad. Yeah, so good to go in seclusion at least once a year and just park everything, put everything aside. The holy name alone is everything. Shri Kevalastikam, you know, that's usually our theme song, that bhajan. You know, and yeah, you actually enter a different reality in these retreats. It's quite powerful, you know.
When does this take place?
Well, we haven't planned it yet. But I heard in September there will be a holy name retreat with Krishna Prema Prabhu.
And also this retreat that we have in July in the Swiss Alps. So we also we listen to the lectures and chant.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, every holy name retreat is different. Everybody's got their mood and so on. So I usually even have one day without talking, Mauna Vrata. Yes. You know, that it doesn't become a whole socializing thing, and no. We are meant to go within and really look and do some work in our relationship with the holy name and so on, you know. Yeah, so anyway, but maybe one day we arrange one according to my style and mood. Everybody's got their own, you know, emphasis and style and so on, yeah. Okay.
I got a feedback about your retreats that they're very nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't
they were
know.
very the devotees were very enthusiastic and inspired. So in that sense, I share just that you might do it in the future and that everyone can come.
Okay, so what else?
Can I put my mobile phone there because the connection is not so good? I think CM is on the chanting to Mataji. So she can also join. So when it's close to Mataji.
Like behind the speaker. Talking about self.
Is she really?
Okay, so what next question do we have? Don't be shy.
Someone has online.
I have a question. So, what kind of advice would you give to the devotees? Because you know, sometimes people come to the temple and they do practice, but somehow they cannot find spiritual master, you know. And then years go by. Some people find it like in a year or two and everything is quite easy for them. But for others it takes years. So is it something like internally with them, or what would you... But there are a lot of people who are actually in this community who are looking for a spiritual master, and they want to get initiated, but when you ask them like, well, did you find someone who you like? Say, no. So.
Well, my experience or understanding is that if people cannot decide which spiritual master to accept, it usually actually is an internal thing in them, that they're not ready to really commit and surrender to a person. And it's like that when you actually have that strong desire to find Guru, then Paramatma in the heart witnesses that. And Paramatma allows you to understand who is the right person. But if this desire is not there, then the right person may be just in front of you, but because you don't have that desire, you cannot even see, you know? So as a rule, I recommend people to really cultivate that urgency and sincere longing to accept Guru. Because, I mean, in these modern days, we all want to have our independence, and we want to do what we like to do, and we don't want to be accountable to anybody, and then already so many rules, and chanting 16 rounds really every day. You know, so for many people this may be a little daunting, how we say. So I usually advise people to actually pray to Prabhupada, that Prabhupada shows them who is the right person. And I mean, this whole accepting Guru is also a big topic, because Guru should not just be accepted on the level of the mind and intelligence, but actually on the level of the heart. And very often people who accept Guru and they are initiated, but actually the acceptance has not reached the heart level. You know, because there's also maybe a lot of social pressure there, that my peers who joined at a similar time, they're already initiated, they have a spiritual name, and I also want to have a spiritual name, so I feel I'm accepted as a devotee, I belong to the community. You know, so all these external considerations are there, and often the way people choose Guru is also very a little shallow, you know, just whoever's my friends, whoever's Guru they have, I want to belong to their group, so okay, let me just accept that person, you know. So this is all pretty superficial, you know. So Guru should really be accepted on the level of the heart. Not that you think, oh, so which one? This one, that one? Oh, my friends have this one, maybe that one, you know. No, this is all the heart, the mind level. But it should really be like this, that we are longing to accept Guru, that we understand we need Guru, and then, you know, by longing and praying to Prabhupada that we understand who is the right person, one day you understand in your heart, no doubt, that's the person. You know? There should not be this contemplation on the level of the mind or intelligence, but it should be all of a sudden realized in the heart. And the main way how we come also to this realization is by hearing. Whoever's preaching inspires and nourishes us the most, nourishes our faith in Prabhupada, in the process of Krishna consciousness. You know, that person's preaching, you know, that person should be accepted who is nourishing us the most, like that. So sometimes, you know, especially as new devotees, our vision is quite tinged by mundane consciousness, you know, and then we often may choose according to external or emotional, sentimental reasons or something. Oh, he smiled so nicely, he gave me his Maha garland and this and that, you know, but the hearing, you know. And then there's also a little practical aspect too, that I personally feel it's important that we meet our Guru regularly, if possible 2 times a year. I always had this situation that I met my Gurus. I'm now with the 3rd Diksha Guru. So I always met my Gurus at least 2 times a year, personally. Because we are not on this level that we can connect immediately on the level of Vani, simply through remembering and following instructions. No, we need that personal contact. Oh, I remember in my, you know, beginning years, I enjoyed cooking, you know, and making garlands, and then I was knitting for my Guru and making knitted Swami hats and jackets and this and that. I mean, I was completely absorbed, completely. For many years I was cooking for my Guru in Mayapur during the GBC meetings. This was, you know, 20 years ago or something. The rules for the hand luggage were not so strict in those days. And I was going on the plane with all these jars of homemade jams and this and that, you know, all these delicacies which you can't get in India, you know, Kalamata olives and, oh, you name it, I had it all in my hand luggage. Yeah, and I was just completely absorbed in, you know, trying to please Guru in a personal way. And from my experience, this is so important to actually eventually get on this level of connecting through instructions and following, you know, and remembering, you know. So the Vapu, the personal association, leads us to the Vani. So, yeah, so this personal association is important for us neophytes, you know. Even though, of course, Philosophically, we say Vani is more important than Vapu, but we first have to get there, you know. And also we say that, you know, Guru represents Krishna. So we actually serve and receive Guru in the same way as if he was Krishna. With that same excitement and absorption and, you know, mood of wanting to please and make all different arrangements and get him a gift and this and that. As if Krishna would come. Somehow we have to practice, you know. So on Guru we practice how to serve Krishna. So if we have a Guru who never comes here, little difficult to, you know, to get into this mood and have this opportunity to serve like that, you know. So that's why I personally also advise people to try and choose somebody who regularly comes to wherever we are. And I know some gurus also don't accept disciples in areas where they don't go, you know. Yes, and I also know some devotees who suffer a little bit because they don't have much opportunity to meet their guru, you know. Then just that personal connection is not there. So for me this was always very important that I really had a personal connection to Guru, you know. And then, yeah, I always met my gurus 2 times a year and I was collecting questions. You know, throughout the year some questions come up and I was writing them down, I was collecting them. So then when I met my guru, then immediately I would make an appointment for darshan and I came with my list of questions. So, and yeah, this is very helpful, I think, for the development of the guru-disciple relationship, you know. Yes.
I have a question related to how one should react in certain situations.
Hang on, maybe just to keep things a little bit online or in line, because if we jump too much from one topic to another, maybe let us first see if there's any further comments or questions about the guru topic before we jump to something else. And you also look if there's something from the online audience. You have a question?
I have, there was no question for now, but I have people and I can see when they post a question.
Okay, good. So you have something about the guru topic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, I struggle a little bit to relate with that because, like, from my understanding, even to Krishna, everyone's relationship is so individual, different from like what she feels when she's singing kirtan or trying to relate to Krishna is so different from what I'm seeking for. And then I already struggle a little bit when I see, like, example, Raghunath Guru Maharaj, when he has like so many thousands of disciples, and I don't think that he sees all his disciples once in the year. Like, I don't even know when he was ever in Switzerland or whatever.
Yes.
So he goes to Italy.
He goes to Italy, but like so many people don't have that kind of opportunity.
Yes.
And then when we like put it in a kind of box where we say, yeah, twice a year, or I don't know, I'm very nervous, I'm already shivering. When I would maybe meet my Guru Maharaj, so I would not bring one word out, and like these questions are gonna be maybe answered in another way. I don't know. Like in an interview I heard Bhakti Tirtha Swami said how he had so many dreams where so many questions were like resolved, and I'm not like maybe sleeping enough to have my answers there, but it's like okay. So how to find actually really the personal relationship to Maharaj, and then it's also like it's showing me that you're doing me.
Don't worry.
Alright.
Continue.
But if you're sharing.
No, it's okay. Making me more nervous. So, yeah, then how to Krishna. So that's my question.
Yes. So first of all, it's not that I'm making rules here in the box. You have to meet your guru 2 times a year. I was just sharing from my own life. You know? That I had this situation over my years of Krishna consciousness, that I was always meeting my gurus 2 times a year. And that this was very helpful for me, you know. So in regards to personalities like Radhana Swami, for example, this is exactly why he has the mentorship program. Same with Naranja Swami. That's exactly the reason. Because they realize they cannot extend themselves to really give that personal attention to each and every disciple. That's why it's like in a family. You know, when a family has 15 children, let's say, so it's very natural that the older children help to bring up the younger children. The parents cannot give that same attention to each and every one of them. And that's only 15. You know, so our gurus have hundreds and thousands of disciples. And that's exactly why this mentorship topic is so important, that actually just having a guru is not even enough. Out of that reason, you know, that they have so many disciples and they cannot give that personal guidance to each and every one, you know. Yes. I mean, for some years I was a member of the GBC committee for devotee care and the strategic planning there. And in this strategic planning of the GBCs, they also have a committee of the future guru. Yes. Oh, this is being discussed. And the motto of that guru committee is, instead of having a handful of gurus with thousands of disciples, we want thousands of gurus with a handful of disciples. Sounds good, isn't it? Yes, because that's how it was traditionally, you know, that, yeah, the village guru, and he's connected with each and every one there on a personal level, and you know. So, and of course, Prabhupada was the only person who served as guru, so of course he had to accept so many all over the place and so on, you know. But yeah, that's the vision of this guru committee. But I mean, it's a big topic, you know, how to authorize people to initiate and this and that, and there's some opinions in ISKCON even that no need for any authorization process. Anybody can just initiate. But, well, we don't want to discuss this now, but my comment about that is, this is how we got the upper sampradayas in the Vaishnava history, all kinds of unbonafide sampradayas, because there was no system for authorizing a Diksha Guru, you know, so a bit of a system I think we need. But anyway, so in any case, this is why this whole topic of mentorship is so important. I tell you frankly, we have lost so many devotees over the last 50 years because we have not understood this importance of mentorship. Out of that very reason. that many devotees don't have that opportunity to personally connect with Guru, But somehow we need somebody to try and help us to balance our spiritual practice and also to correct us and. I mean, disciple comes from discipline. So the Diksha Guru is meant to give us this first discipline and training and connect us with Prabhupada. That's his main function, Yes. And I mean, it's a big topic because for somebody, if I may say a little provocative, for somebody it may be very convenient to have a guru who is far away and who they never meet and who doesn't know what we're doing. Can be very convenient. Yes, so there's different moods. But no, I mean, don't misunderstand me. It's not that you have to meet your guru twice a year or something. I was simply sharing from my own personal experience that this was very helpful for me, and it may be one reason why I survived. And so many devotees. I mean, if I look back at who joined with me at that time, there's hardly anybody left. Hardly anybody. Yeah, that's reality. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
Obeisances, my name is Devaki, and I joined in 8th in ex-Yugoslavia.
Where did you join?
Ex-Yugoslavia.
Okay.
In Belgium.
Okay.
And I had a few gurus.
She had what?
Few gurus.
Few
Just a
gurus.
second.
My phone is a little bit. Wait, Mataji. So, we lost you at ex-Yugoslavia.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Obeisances, okay. So, I will just repeat what you said to actually see is this what you actually said. So you said something on the lines, Guru should be accepted by heart and not mind or intelligence. Is that in the lines of what you were saying?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just wondering, what about this Shastric recommendation that the sincere disciple should ask questions and look for the answers that satisfy his intelligence and his mind? And also, in that same regard, what connection would you make between the accepting the Guru and Sadhu and Shastra, which we can see because you're mentioning mentorship program and all of that there is a strong connection there. But if you can just clarify this a little bit more for our sake, would that be okay?
Yeah. So, as I was mentioning, the main criteria to accept Guru is whose preaching nourishes and nourishes our faith. So that's why the hearing is so important. As you were saying, we should inquire, and we should also, Shastric injunction, was it Jiva Goswami? Somebody said, it's somehow echoing all of a sudden. Somebody was saying we should even examine. We should examine Guru. So, but nevertheless, that attraction through hearing and being nourished by Guru's preaching, that should lead to the point that the acceptance is there on the level of the heart. That there is not some tossing up. Who should we take? This one, that one. But no, we hear from a person, we inquire until we know for sure in the heart, this is the right person. No doubt. Right? Does that make it a little clearer? It doesn't mean that the intelligence is not at all involved, but the actual acceptance should take place on the level of the heart. Right?
Yes, but I have a question in that regard. So if we start from the point of view that our heart is framed by our conditioning, and then if you and you say that the Guru should be accepted from the heart, and then with our conditioning, and that meaning our mind, intelligence is also very conditioned, and then if we override that and go directly to the heart, my question is, how would you jump there directly to the heart? I'm not saying that what you're saying is not correct. I'm just wondering what kind of procedure are you following so to arrive that the Guru should be accepted by the heart, and kind of not by the mind and intelligence. In my understanding, all three aspects are important, and as we said, Guru Sadhana Shastra. So the mind and intelligence, they play the role there. So
yeah, I mean, of course.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Of course, they play a role because you have to hear and you have to understand with your mind and intelligence and so on. But the ultimate acceptance should arrive on the level of the heart. It should not be merely a point on the level of the mind and intelligence. And usually if we hear long enough from one person, and we pray to Prabhupada to show us who is the right person, Paramatma will arrange that we can see and understand who is the right person. And that will be a revelation in the heart. So, I mean, it's pretty difficult to explain how revelations take place, We cannot explain this with the mind and intelligence, but you simply will know one day that's the right person. From within your heart, the revelation is there, Yes.
Another question in that regard, because according to
Chandramuki Mataji, I'm sorry, but
actually we are Shiksha Sampradaya. So if we, in that regard, if we overemphasize Diksha and not emphasize enough Shiksha, which you mentioned, but just for the clarity of devotees present.
Yes.
And also with Shiksha, that we could have many instructing Shiksha gurus. So how would you differentiate between this importance of Diksha and Shiksha? Because for I think all of us, it's very important to clarify those kind of things. Is that correct? Would you mind answering that?
Yeah, I'm sorry to Chandramuki, but I really appreciate your questions, but it's a third question in a row, and there are people here.
Okay, no problem. No, it's okay. Don't worry about that.
Also, it is a pretty high and intricate topic. I'm not sure if we want to go into that.
That's all right. No worries.
Yeah, sorry. I mean,
Thank you.
but thank you for taking part and for taking part and asking some questions. But
Sure, I might ask later on. Thank you.
okay then. Thank you.
Okay, so there's Claudia.
No, it's clear.
Oh,
No.
it's just connected.
Sure.
So sorry.
No, please, if you can.
So she says, Hare Krishna, thank you, Mother Devaki Mataji. So she has like two questions.
Can you
at
open the
one.
window?
So she has like, which gurus come to Zurich regularly? And when she sees them only for a few days. So how can she develop a relationship just because she sees, even though they come to and they're just here like for a day or two, how can the relationship be established? So,
Well, it's Tadvidi Pranipadana Pariprashnena Sevaya. So we inquire, we hear, and we serve. And actually the two functions, hearing and serving, they enhance each other. By performing humble service, we are in the right frame of mind to hear submissively, because we should hear with submission, in humility. So by offering humble service, we get into the right consciousness of hearing in a submissive mood. And then the more we hear, the more we will feel inspired to serve. And the more we serve, we will want to hear from this person. So hearing and serving enhance each other. So even if the guru comes only a few days, well, we have to be keen to do some service. Can I clean the room? Maybe I can cook something.
move to the temple for a few days.
Huh?
Move to the temple for a few days.
Move to the temple for a few days. Even if he has already his cook, you can still make something extra, some sweet. Find out the diet, you know. He may just have a little bit of it anyway, you know. So we have to be keen. We have to be keen to offer some service. That's also the duty of a disciple, to offer some service. We can think, what can I get him? What kind of gift can be practical, useful? We can even ask him, is there anything you need? This and that, you know. So we have to be keen. And even if Guru does not always come to Zurich, but maybe there's some neighboring countries where he goes. So we have to go there, and you know, we have to hunt for the nectar, you know. Yes.
Yeah, and I'd also like ask for the gurus who come here regularly. I mean, regularly comes to Chinandana Swami once a year, Kadambakana Swami, but there are also others. Bhakti Damodara Swami, I think he was also here. Paramgati, yes, sorry. Maharaj also comes, but that also doesn't mean anything. I mean, I could just say that for a few, I don't know, 6 or 7 years I was living in Croatia, and there I could not connect with the gurus that were there, so I had to come to another country to connect. So it doesn't, there's no rule also, like.
No, there's no hard and fast rules. All I can say is that for most devotees it's helpful to get the opportunity for personal association, hearing from that person's mouth, you know. Of course, internet is also there, but Gaur Govinda Maharaj describes this nicely, that through the internet there is so many subtle things, that subtle energy emanating from a person. Unfortunately, the lens cannot capture that, you know. And Gaur Govinda Maharaj describes this, that the two benefits of hearing through internet or recording is that you remember this moment, how it felt like to sit at the feet of that person. And you long to again get an opportunity to sit at the person's lotus feet. And that, in that way, the recordings nourish that experience which we had when being in that person's association, you know. So, yeah. And the more we can get that opportunity, and that opportunity to serve, it makes a big difference to one's spiritual life. I mean, that's why I have, you know, 2 times accepted reinitiation, because it puts a whole personal dimension on our spiritual life. if we have that opportunity to hear and serve that representative of Krishna, it puts a whole different dimension, Because many people who, whose guru fell down, they say, oh, I just take the shoulder of Prabhupada, but, well, even that, not so easy. Not so easy. And of course, as Chandramukhi Mataji says, there's also Shiksha, but unfortunately in ISKCON, we put more emphasis on Diksha. And that's why I could also observe this in my own life, that if I take Shiksha from somebody, I have this attitude in a subtle way that it's only Shiksha. Meaning, if I like it, I can accept. If I don't like it, I don't have to. It's only Shiksha. Even though philosophically it's not like that. But because we put the main emphasis on the Diksha Guru, the Shiksha Guru is not so emphasized. And that's why I realized, no, if I take Diksha one more time, it makes it more firm. There's more commitment there, and so on. Yes. Okay, what else?
I wanted to ask you if you can maybe share your experience when you felt for the first time, oh, this is my guru, and maybe this will help devotees who are now exactly at that stage.
Okay. Yeah, well, as I said, I went 3 times through that experience. And by the way, all my 3 Diksha Gurus I had, they were the perfect guru at that time. Perfect. So I have no grudges or hard feelings or anything. No, my whole life would have gone so differently if I hadn't taken shelter of these 3 personalities. So it was all meant to be like that, But I can definitely say, almost in all 3 cases it was like that. That I had some mood of desperation there before. That I was at a little low in my life where I really thought, God, what's happening? I need something here in my life. And then Krishna made me understand, yes, this person is the right person to take you further. So it came as a response to some helplessness. Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
And I mean, we are meant to helplessly cry out to Krishna. Govinda Maharaj always says, an ISKCON temple is a crying school where we learn to cry out to Krishna in helplessness. So, and that's exactly the point which I was trying to make. When people cannot decide, who to accept as guru, usually there is not that helplessness there, that desperation. I need guru. Where can I find guru? Yes. So kind of, yeah, it's all right. I go to the Sunday program and it's okay. And yes, I've got my life under control and everything is going so smoothly, So that mood, that kind of cruising mood is there, But not that real desperation of needing guru. And I actually had that in all 3 cases. Yes. Yes. I mean, with my second Diksha Guru, I knew him already for many years. I never thought of accepting him as guru, I was for 3 years without guru after the first one had gone. But then all of a sudden I felt, I'm kind of hanging in the air here. I need some guidance, some shelter. Yes. And then it was very clear, yes, He's always there. He's already giving me the shoulder all the time, you know. But I was just not grabbing the rope he was giving, you know. But only when I felt that helplessness and desperation, I realized, yes, this is the right thing to do. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
What else? Do we have any more about the Guru topic, or shall we maybe move on to a different topic?
I was hesitating to ask about Guru Maharaj, but now I'm inspired.
Okay.
I have another question, but that I would ask later because it's connected to this. So related to Guru Maharaj, so I wanted to also share your experience because my question is based on that. So I was born in a Hindu family where the Krishna was most important. I was born praying to him. So when I came to Zurich, I was not inspired to have a guru because I didn't realize that why it is important, because I was always praying to Krishna. So, but during that phase, I met my guru, whom this connection developed, but I did not I don't know, somehow I couldn't ask him to be my guru, but I knew that he's the one. And then the years passed, and I was always thinking only about him. I accepted him in my heart throughout many, many years. And then the time came when I asked him. But this time, so we both were meeting each other, and there was like, without any words, there was a connection. And when I really met him to ask him that, could you please initiate me? He knew me, but he said that I should wait. And wait for how long, it's not, I don't know. And now during this phase of waiting, many times I have this fear. What will happen if he will not accept me after 10 years? Or maybe something happens in Corona, I go without initiation, or like sometimes like materialistic thoughts come. What if I just take, initiation from another guru? And this waiting period is so hard that although for 20 years I had no doubt that he is the one, but it's yes. So I was just thinking how to pass this time until he accepts me.
I mean, there's the saying that for first initiation we should be keen, whereas the Brahminical initiation is awarded. So I dare say, yeah, I would say it should be spent in this pariprashnena sevaya, so whenever you get an opportunity to offer some service, personally, inquire, hear from him, and of course even when he is not here, we can still serve in the mood of serving him, But yeah, I mean, to show oneself keen, I mean, just the other day when we talked about Narottam Das Thakur's life on his appearance, so he wanted to accept initiation of Lokanath Goswami, and he actually had made a vow not to accept any disciples. So first he didn't want to accept him. But Narottam was showing himself so keen and was performing this humble service of cleaning up the area there in nature where he was going to pass stool every day. So that's the mood. Humble service, keen. Not just sit and wait. but really showing yourself keen to serve. You know? Yes. And by the way, exactly the same principles we also find when it comes to mentorship. Yes. You know? That also the first step, because I'm preaching about it, I've wrote a book about it, so often people say, I cannot find a mentor. There is nobody, you know. So step number one is always we have to understand the importance of having a mentor. That actually without having a mentor who can guide us on a more regular basis, we actually cannot really make advancement. Because while we have material attachments and desires, our vision of ourselves is distorted, it's clouded. We cannot see ourselves. And we need somebody who can help us to assess ourselves and to see whether our spiritual practice is actually balanced. Because very easily, you know, we cut corners somewhere and we may think we practice very nicely. We may think, oh, you know, I don't have any problems in my life, everything is going so smoothly. But that's usually a sign, you know, that we are maybe in our comfort zone or something. So the time for spiritual advancement is actually when we do face some challenges, you know. So just that the fact that everything is going so smoothly and there's no disturbances, that doesn't mean we make nicely progress. And to really be able to assess ourselves, we need such a well-wishing, more senior friend who is more experienced, you know, and who is a role model for us and who can guide us and inspire us, who has no other interest except my spiritual development. We all need this. And eventually we should become a mentor to others also. If this does not take place, there's a strong verse statement in the Garuda Purana. If we don't reach out to those in an inferior position, meaning in a less experienced position, our life is superficial. Yes, superficial. Because we only worry about ourselves and not about others. So without having a mentor and becoming a mentor, our possibilities to actually make progress is very limited. Very easily we invite stagnation into our life because we may not be able to see what's the next step forward. We want to endeavor, you know. Yatanta sadhrata vrata, endeavoring with great determination. We don't want to leave it all as it is. So we should continuously endeavor to move forward. And we need a person to show us what is the next step. We often can't see it. And so the same principles are there in finding a mentor also. Step number one is we firmly have to be convinced I need such a person in my life. Without such a person, I cannot really progress steadily, move forward. I may be like in the hamster wheel there, you know, running, but I'm running on the spot, you know, like the hamster, you know. So first step is we have to clearly understand. And then if we long, you know, if we want such a personality in our life, Paramatma witnesses it, and he allows us to understand which person is a suitable person. And he may even arrange that we meet the right person at the right time who can perfectly fulfill this role of serving us as a mentor. So it's the same principle like accepting Guru, you know.
If nobody else has Guru questions,
Yes. Also.
Well, it has actually to do with this mentorship. So actually you answered it now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Because my guru has left 17 years ago and I am trying to find a mentor too. But maybe I'm not so strong about it as you said now.
Yeah, if we are convinced that we need this and there's some longing there, Paramatma will arrange it all. Yes. It's part of being greedy for Krishna, you know, Rupa Goswami, Loriam. The only qualification we need to have is intense greed for Krishna. So, if this intense greed is there to somehow move forward, then Krishna will send the right personality at the right time to help us move forward. Definitely.
Just because Marianne also wants to ask something. You want to talk?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to ask if you're going to talk about relationships, especially man and woman, since you have so much experience, and in your books you really highlight this relationship, and it's really very nourishing. So I was wondering if you could speak about that sooner or later.
Yeah.
It's a different topic now.
Yeah. Do you have something regarding what Mataji was speaking about?
Yes, maybe it's a quick one. You mentioned earlier that currently we have a handful of gurus and very, very many disciples.
Yes.
And the other way around would be more preferable.
Yes.
I don't know much about like GBC politics or anything, but is this, I don't know, is this coming in a far future and a near future thing?
Is this coming in the near future? Having thousands of gurus with a handful of disciples. Well, who am I to say, you know? And I haven't been much involved anymore in this devotee care committee because they basically achieved what they were planning to achieve. So I haven't taken part in the GBC meetings for a while. But yeah, I believe they are striving for this, but obviously it takes time, you know, because we have to, from one guru, Srila Prabhupada, you know, we have to expand the whole system and so on, you know, so it takes time. But the awareness is very much there, how it is important to increase the number of gurus. That's definitely there, definitely there. Also because the first generation gurus are getting older, some of them are departing, and so on, and their health is not so much strong anymore. That many have stopped accepting disciples even, you know. So yeah, it's definitely a need, but yeah, it's a whole discussion and a whole big topic, how to assess the qualification and so on, you know. Big subject.
Yes, can one get like a mentor without having a guru yet, or is this?
To have a mentor without having a guru, yeah, this is definitely fine. I almost think we could say this is how it should start anyway. Yeah, because, you know, if we start up our Krishna consciousness, definitely we need mentors. And I mean, as a younger devotee, it is more natural to have guiding personalities in our life, right? Most natural. But it becomes even more of a topic when we are so-called a little more senior, that then also we need a mentor. That you know, that is even a more pressing topic, you know. But yeah, I mean, definitely, there's nothing wrong with first having a mentor and then eventually a guru, no problem, yes.
I feel somehow that because you can see that here in the temple, devotees are quite young. And I mean, there are senior devotees, but they live outside. So maybe that's why it's sometimes difficult also like to find, or maybe how to ask for someone to become your mentor, you know? Because they have their own lives. I mean, there are so many senior devotees here who really would like to help the younger ones, but the younger ones also don't know how to approach them, and there is no system here, like organized system. So
well, all I can say is a good start to get insights into the topic is to read this book, Sheltering Relationships, you know. I've got one here in my bag. Because there I am discussing what qualifications we have to be keen for a mentor. There already, you know, when we read this, we already realize, okay, maybe I don't even have the qualifications. One of them is that we feel helpless. I mean, there is no meaning to the term taking shelter unless there's helplessness there, you know? And I mean, in common language, to take shelter, it's hardly even used. You know, in German, Zuflucht. My goodness, who is talking about Zuflucht nehmen? I mean, this sounds really weird, you know, something from the Middle Ages or something, you know. So, and in English language, shelter, I mean, all I can think of is the bus shelter. You know, where people stand and when they wait on the bus stop, the bus shelter, you know, or the, homeless shelter for homeless or something, you know. So this term, you know, shelter is not even a vocabulary in common language, because people are not striving, you know, to take shelter. Everybody's trying to pretend that they know it all, and, you know, but that I need shelter, I mean, my God, this is almost like a weakness, you know. There's something wrong with you or something, you know. So this is how material life, spiritual life is day and night, you know. Yeah, so some of these qualifications we need to have, or these qualities, to be able to, you know, desire a mentor, we may lack in them, you know. And then I'm also discussing the qualities we have to be able to give shelter to others. And there we see it's not so easy, you know, because, I mean, in many devotees' lives, this is going on informally, you know. When I think back of my spiritual practice, I've always had such a mentor, such a person in my life, even though in those days nobody ever was talking about mentorship and all this, you know. But I always felt this need to have somebody who has some interest in my spiritual development and nothing else, you know. I needed this always. So I always informally had such a person in my life who I, you know, took guidance of and who I was trying to please and so on, you know. So, but then again, for many devotees, it's not taking place. And strictly speaking, I mean, I'm familiar with this whole mentorship thing from preaching in Ukraine, because Nanja Swami took up the idea of Chaupadi from Radha Swami, and he brought it to Ukraine. For over 20 years he's been developing that, and I've seen how it gives so much stability to people's lives if they have a mentor, you know. So, and if there is a little bit of a structure there, then a person actually needs to be authorized to be a mentor. Because if we take, you know, if we accept a mentor who doesn't fit the qualifications, we can be disappointed. We can have some painful experience, you know. And then we may not so easily want to, you know, take shelter again of a person we don't trust and so on. So it's helpful to know what qualifications a person has to have in order to actually be able to serve as a mentor. Who asked the question, by the way? You, that's right. Yeah, so it is helpful to know, so we actually, we take shelter from a qualified person, you know, and there's a few important qualifications one has to have to be able to serve as a mentor. You know, one of them, for example, is that we also have to have a mentor ourselves. We have to be sheltered ourselves. We can only give what we have. So if we are not sheltered, then how can we give shelter? Yes, and there's a few other important things too, you know. Yes. So it's good to familiarize ourselves with the topic more, you know, and then we can more consciously approach the whole subject, you know. And I mean, I'm describing so many things in this book, you know, also, again, same principle like with Nautam Das Thakur and Lokanath Goswami. Sometimes people are hesitant, or can I accept you as a mentor? Oh, no, I don't think I'm qualified. So, what do? Serve. Because when you serve a person, there's an instruction in the Bhagavatam. You cannot accept service from a person without offering some upliftment in return. Otherwise, accepting service becomes sense gratification. So, very clear, if you serve a person, if they have some spiritual understanding and maturity, they will feel obliged from their heart to offer something in return, you know. And the most valuable thing they offer in return is some upliftment, some guidance, giving some inspiration, you know. So if you just serve that person and you inquire from that person, you simply inquire, squeeze them. You know, that's how we are meant to associate with any senior person, by inquiring, you know. Because sadhu will not say anything unless he's asked to speak. He may have so much to share, but if people are not asking, he knows they're not ready to hear. So no use to say anything. So in any association with a more experienced person, that's how we should associate, by inquiring, you know, and by serving. But these days, maybe you have observed this too, instead of people inquiring, they love talking about themselves. Right? Yes, people enjoy talking about themselves, what they will do and this and that. And to do this in the presence of a senior, just to talk about yourself, this is really uncultured, actually. There's so many subtleties of Vaishnava etiquette, you know, which we often don't know here in the Western world, you know. What else?
Mataji, I have a question which is a little bit related to my previous question. So as you very rightly mentioned, that the relationship with the Guru should not be shallow. It should really come, or one could wait for millions of years until it doesn't, you know, you feel it. Now my question is related to a devotee relationship. So sometimes I see in our society, ISKCON society, devotees who are initiated since a long time. I'm not asking this question from arrogance or from a point of view of pride, but from a very, very doubtful platform. sometimes I see that people like me, who are in a process or who are trying to be extremely honest with themselves, to have the Guru only when it's the right time, they could wait. And then there are groups of devotees who are initiated since a very, very long time. They're doing really, really nice seva, everything right. But sometimes, maybe unconsciously, they are dividing their services between the person who are initiated and who are not. And that time I feel very, very uncomfortable to be in such groups, because Krishna loves everyone, devotee, non-devotee, or even a beggar outside. Then how can senior devotees or even younger devotees who are initiated, how can they even think that this is initiated, so they are the right devotees, they are not initiated, so they are not right devotees. And when I myself personally in such a situation, I tend to just say Hare Krishna, and with lot of respect, I just move away, just not to make them feel uncomfortable. And my question is coming from a place of a doubt. How should I react? Like, I respect the devotees, but I do not like their behavior of differentiating. And when I don't feel comfortable, instead of disturbing, it's better to go out, but then I miss out on a lot of nice sevas they are doing. So how should...
I mean, I don't know if I really understood your question correctly, but in many situations we do have to distinguish who is doing which service. And some service can only be done by initiated devotees, So we cannot just say, oh, we are all equal and everybody should do any service and we should not differentiate. And just as a basic rule, I would highly recommend, and this is also according to Vaishnava etiquette, that we should not pass judgments. What happens on a more senior level? Because we cannot understand, we don't know what reasons they have, for acting in whatever way, whether it may be this or something else or whatever it may be. We have to really be careful. We should stay away from this. It's not our position to pass judgments on devotees who are superior to us. Very easily we commit Vaishnava aparad.
Yes, but like what I meant was, like, for example, let's say this devotee is initiated, this is not, and you are in front, and your behavior, not about the division of the services, but just like normal behavior, will it come in your mind that I should behave in a certain way with this devotee and in a certain way? Will it come or not?
Well, I mean, there is the Vaishnava etiquette. So we treat senior people differently than junior ones.
No, actually not the seniority, like equals. So not talking about senior devotees, just initiated.
No, initiated and not initiated. So one criteria for senior or junior is when they were initiated. So if a person is initiated and the other person is not initiated, then the initiated devotee should be treated as senior to the other one. Even though these criteria are somewhat external, they're somewhat material. That the main and foremost criteria who is senior is actually a person's Krishna consciousness, a person's power of uplifting others. But that we cannot so easily judge. So that's why we take these external and more material considerations. And one of them is, when is the person initiated? When did he get first initiation, second initiation? Even the age is one criteria for seniority. If a person is 30 years older, just by his bigger life experience. We are meant to treat him as senior. So we have to distinguish, Yes.
Okay, so now it's 6 o'clock, but we said that we can go longer because at 6:30 it's Gorarati, so you can go join. So I thought, because Astor had a question about relationships, that we can do a little bit about that. But you have some, because you read the book, I guess. So you must have some questions. Do you want to know something?
I mean, if it's okay, I was thinking because you have to, since you're here and you have some experience about this topic, I guess.
Okay.
Everyone has been into a relationship and so I guess this is a topic. Well, I mean, first of all, like I said, your books are really, I can highly recommend them to everyone because they're really, packing the philosophy on a base that you, how do you say, it's useful for your life, It's not in a high level, it's really what, I've experienced almost everything you wrote and I can really
relate to it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my humble attempt in my preaching is the practical application.
Exactly.
How do we live our philosophy? How do we practically apply it? That we don't just repeat it and learn it by heart and quote it, but that we actually live it. Yes. And that's how we get the culture, by the way. By living a worldview, the culture manifests. So do you have a bit more of a particular, precise question, or?
Well, first I would start with, I guess, this how you describe the man-woman relationship. Like, the woman has to have certain qualities and the man has to have certain qualities from a Vedic point of view. But of course, the material point of view is totally opposite as you describe. And like now, for example, the woman needs to be submissive to a man, and the man needs to meet. This is a very important...
the hot issues.
Right into it. So like I said, I can speak for myself. I can really relate to this. I have the tendency, or as a man, I would like to protect the woman, but in order to have this feeling to protect the woman, it's nice if a woman submits in a way that she, accepts me as her protector, let's say it that way. So, but I understand, of course, on the other hand, the women group, because men kind of don't really know the goal of life and are not really set. So they, I guess, they have to pick it up themselves. So that's, I guess, when it starts. So what would you, like in our society, we trying to make this Vedic culture, but then we still so much distracted about how to do it.
First of all,
Could you maybe
paraphrase the question.
Because of
The audience. So the question basically is the whole man-woman topic. That yes, man and woman, he was saying, are meant to have certain qualities in the Vedic, from the Vedic perspective, but then today it's all mixed up. And yes, it feels good from a man's point of view that he wants to protect a woman, and for that she also, it's helpful if she's a little submissive. But then again, the women also, one can understand them, they're frustrated because the men are not qualified, they don't know what to do with their life, and what to do about it. Let me first of all say, and I hope nobody minds this, especially here the College for Vedic Studies, I personally actually never use this term Vedic. You will not find this practically in any of my books. I'm not talking about Vedic culture or something. That's why I call the book spiritual culture, not Vedic. Because a big part of the Vedic culture is actually not that spiritual. It's very material, you know. And Krishna consciousness is not the only spiritual culture. There's other spiritual cultures too, where you find exactly the same principles. So that's why I usually use the term spiritual culture, meaning any culture where God consciousness is the goal in life. You know? So Vedic, I don't feel so comfortable actually with this term, even though I feel very comfortable to be at this program here for the College of Vedic Studies.
We blame London, they call it.
Huh?
We can blame the London.
No, we don't blame anybody. But yeah, this term Vedic doesn't sit right with me, you know, because also often I come across this idea, oh, that's the Vedic thing, especially what a Vedic woman should do and not do. Ooh, no. It's not my approach, you know. But let us put it more in terms of Krishna's system. That's why I call the first book, Spiritual Culture, Krishna's divine system. So let us understand what is Krishna's system. So, and I find it just so fascinating to discover how Krishna puts certain qualities in natures into the man's body and into the woman's body. I find this very fascinating. It's actually built in. Actually. Because they're meant to play certain roles according to Krishna's system and recommendation. You know? So that actually the two perfectly complement each other. I find this really amazing and fascinating. It's built in. It's got nothing to do with Vedic. Nothing. Even in non-devotee men, you will find these natures built in, that a man wants to be the hero for a woman. He wants to protect her. He actually wants to provide for her. You know? I mean, when I go by train, I never put my luggage on the train myself. Never. I mean, only if I just can't find any young fella there on the platform, you know. But usually I already look, because I always have the suitcase full of books, and you know, so no, and I'm always looking, okay, let me go there. And then I ask them and say, oh, would you be so kind to help me put my luggage on? Of course, sure, my pleasure, you know. It's built into the man. He loves it, you know. Yes, it's built in. Got nothing to do with Vedic. He's not a Vedic man or something, but no, it's built in, you know. So yeah, these natures and qualities are built into the subtle and gross body of the male vehicle and female vehicle. You know? And it's only intelligent to understand. So what vehicle am I driving here this lifetime? For whatever reason I got it, let's make the best out of the bad bargain. You know? And that's why in the book I compare male vehicle with a tractor, driving a tractor, moving mountains, you know, pulling 3 trailers behind him. He wants to be in the front. Very basic, simple, down to earth, functional, you know. That's the male, the vehicle. Woman's vehicle, sports car. Powerful energy, woman's energy, so much more powerful than male energy, definitely. We women are given a powerful Shakti, you know, and depending on how we use it, yeah, we get different results. You know, so, and woman's vehicle, you know, sports car, likes to have a few extras, and so on, you know. Yeah, so these things are just built in. So, and of course, these days, Krishna's system is topsy-turvy. Topsy-turvy, Prabhupada uses the term, upside down, you know, mixed up. So, what to do, you know? It's the whole materialistic propaganda, you know? And the result is that men become more feminine, women become more masculine, family unit almost non-existing, and so many, you know, disturbance we have in the society. I think we can really say that all our social problems which we are facing in life, you know, of high divorce rate, inside and outside is gone, high divorce rate, you know, single mothers, violence towards women, neglected children, all these things, they're global reactions for not following Krishna's recommendations. You know? So that's the problem. And sometimes even amongst us devotees, this attitude is there. Krishna's system, outdated, old-fashioned, not valid anymore. Now is the modern system. You know? Yeah. And we, even us practicing devotees, how much faith do we have in Krishna's system, you know? Yes, I mean, there's a heavy statement by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur where he says, you know, if we reject, he says, the Vedic way, this is atheism. He says, yes, very heavy. You know? Yes. We like Krishna, but we don't like his system. What?
You quoting?
No, we like Krishna, but we don't like his system. That's what I say. But Bhaktisiddhanta was saying, if we reject the Vedic way, that this is atheism. I didn't bring the quote with me, but it's there, you know. Yeah, pooh, it's heavy, heavy, heavy. Yeah, so my approach is to simply try and give insights into Krishna's system. We have to know Krishna's system. And then we can make a conscious decision how close or how far we want to be from Krishna's system. You know? Let's make a conscious decision. Let's not be just driven by all the modern Kali Yuga trends and think, oh, this is all progressive and all this. No, let's make a conscious decision. And step number one is we have to get some insights, you know. What is Krishna's system? How is it meant to function? How is it meant to give stability and harmony to people's lives so that we can wholeheartedly practice Krishna consciousness? You know? And just for your information, just something personal, which may be of some little interest. When I joined in Australia, I was really in a different mood. I was almost a bit like a feminist, believe it or not. Oh yes, I was the one in Australia who made all these big revolutions in regards to women. Yes, it's true. You know, like in the old days, in the temple room when I joined, the men were in the front, the women were in the back. And when I joined the temple, I had about 25 brahmacharis or something, and they were all standing in the front there at Mangaladi. And it was not the tradition that a woman would do the Mangaladi puja. I introduced this. She says joy. So that's how I started off my Krishna consciousness. Yes, yes. I was completely into this whole equality thing and this and that. Well, I grew up in Germany, you know. So what do you expect? I had full this conditioning. Yes. And I think this is how most of us start off. You know, yes. Because we don't know anything else, you know. But then, well, Krishna consciousness is meant to bring a transformation. That's what we were talking about the other day after the Bhagavatam class, you know. We are meant to transform. We are not meant to stay as we are forever, you know. We are meant to transform. So gradually, you know, especially through my service in Bangladesh, I got all these insights, you know, because since 1999, before the pandemic, I have spent quite some time every year in Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is the place to experience Vaishnava culture. There you see, you experience how actually our philosophy is meant to be lived. Bangladesh is the best place. If you go to Mayapur, Vrindavan, you usually don't get these insights because you're mainly amongst your countrymen, you know. You go in your group, you don't associate much with the locals, you know. But Bangladesh, whole different story. There is no Western devotees living there. When I'm there, I'm only with the locals. I live with them, I travel with them, I eat with them, I preach with them, everything with the locals. And there you see how they behave, how they act, and, you know. And over 22 years, gradually, I got a whole transformation there. My worldview was put upside down. So I have not always had these approaches and understandings which I have now, you know. It's a result of so many years of really being in that culture and experiencing it, you know. So then I realized, you know, not everybody can go to Bangladesh, so all right, let's establish an institute for spiritual culture. Let's put some courses together. Let's try and educate people how to actually live our philosophy, you know. And just the fact that for many of us, I don't want to say Vedic culture, it just doesn't sit right with me, but just the fact that we find it difficult to accept certain things of Vaishnava culture shows how far we are away of living our philosophy. Right? Makes sense? Yes? Because as we said, and I'm introducing that whole thing in this book, you know, what is culture. So as we said, culture comes about by living a worldview. So if this Vaishnava culture, some aspects, they make us feel uncomfortable and we can't accept that so easily. It just shows how far we are away from actually living our philosophy. Otherwise, it would sit right with us. Right? And it's not surprising, you know, because as Krishna says in 269 in Bhagavad Gita, what is day to the materialist is night to the introspective sage. So these two cultures are as different as day is from night. You know, material life is all about increasing sense enjoyment. Sex life is the best. increasing and boosting the false ego, and spiritual life in its culture is the opposite. Decreasing sense gratification, keeping sex life to a bare minimum, reducing, subduing, dissolving the false ego. My God, can't be more opposite than that. So, naturally, we all come with strong materialistic conditioning. We are surrounded by it. As I shared, I also was strongly, materialistically conditioned. Somehow it's whistling. But anyway, so we are meant to transform. And this conditioning is so subtle and so deep, not so easy to transform it. Not so easy. So, and just to give some insights how it is meant to function, Krishna system, and then we can make a conscious choice. How much of which culture do I want in my life? Yeah, I mean, it's a big topic, But, let me mention this one thing, which we also talked in the Bhagavatam class the other day, in regards to the duties and roles, So, according to Krishna's recommendation, a man should be protecting, providing, and taking charge. And a woman's roles should be that she bears children. Only she can do it, man cannot. She's meant to affectionately, lovingly raise them. And she's meant to be the power of inspiration to the man as a class. Definitely to the husband, but not only a husband, also other men. She's meant to be the power of inspiration. So, and also Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18 something, he says, better to do one's own purifying duty imperfectly rather than doing somebody else's duty perfectly. I feel this is something which we so often overlook. Because in material life, the main criteria, who is doing what, is the result. Whoever can do it best should do it. Right? Because material life means we are result orientated. But in spiritual life, we are not primarily result orientated. We want purification. So there, the main and foremost criteria to decide who is doing what is not necessarily who can do it best, but it is whose purifying duty is it. Because that's what we are mainly interested in, purification. Wow. So it's a whole different approach to deciding who is doing what. And why is Krishna saying that? Better to do one's own duty imperfectly rather than somebody else's duty perfectly. He's saying that because if we do another person's duty perfectly, even though we do it perfectly, but if it is not our duty, very easily everything goes out of place. Krishna's system is disturbed. And that's exactly what we see, Yes. That's why we have these social problems in society today, because we are not following Krishna's system. Definitely. So my vision is that if we want to make Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement powerful, we have to show to the world how Krishna's system is meant to function, where women are true women with beautiful feminine qualities, playing their roles very nicely, and the men are heroic men, chivalrous, who play their roles very nicely, where there's stable family unit, you know, and everybody's happily playing their roles in harmony and stability and emotional health and strength, you know. And of course that sets the foundation to the real goal of life, of developing our relationship with Krishna. But if we can show that to the world, then Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement will become very powerful, because then we've actually got something to demonstrate. As long as we face the same problems in ISKCON as are there, with a high divorce rate and so many other things, well, what do we got to show? Not much, you know. But it will take some time. It's a process over several generations. One devotee told me, but I never found any reference for this, that apparently Prabhupada said it will take 10 generations. And I believe to get closer to Krishna's system. Well, we can easily imagine, let's imagine here we have a few younger devotees here. So now if you hear these things, you get a bit of education about Krishna's system, you try apply something. So then your children, they have already a good start. And then if they take things further, if their children, you know, they will take it further. So then from generation to generation, we get closer and closer to Krishna's system. So it's a whole process. But I find it exciting to somehow be a tiny little part of it. You had a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to develop this topic of women and men and sheltering relationships. So if we try to perform our duties like female and male to our best, what else should we do for these relationships to be sheltering if it's possible? Or sheltering relationships is more connected to our attitude to mentors, spiritual guides, and so on. So can these relationships of men and women be sheltering as well?
So can man-woman relationship be sheltering? Definitely, married life is, you know, is centered around giving each other shelter, you know? Yeah, that's definitely there. Husband gives shelter to the wife. Wife also gives shelter to the husband. I mean, it's a whole different topic, grihastha topic. So that aspect of shelter is definitely there. But when I talk about sheltering relationships, I mainly use it in connection with mentorship. Because one main thing in sheltering relationships as mentors is that a mentor should also not have any emotional interests. Ideally, a mentor should not have any financial interests in his mentee, no emotional interests, and also even not any managerial interests. Whole big topic. So then it is a completely selfless relationship of just giving shelter, no other's interest, even not most subtle. But husband and wife, there's definitely a strong emotional connection there. And if you allow me, I like to make the connection between mentorship and married life in such a way that I say, any marriage problem can be solved if we have a mentor. This is one reason also why we have such a high divorce rate, because people don't have a mentor. They don't take guidance. You know? Often people feel, oh, my personal problem, my marriage problems, this is my private business. I'm not going to tell anybody about this. This is all so personal. And then things build up, and explode, and then people, oh, they got divorced. Gee, I thought they were such a nice couple. Nobody even knew, Yes. I mean, you're from Ukraine. The divorce rate in Ukraine is much lower. And I think one reason for this is because people are more in this, the culture is more there of asking guidance. Yes, yes. This is one main and foremost. Now I'm writing my 5th book. Family Life as an Ashram, Secrets of Success. This thing is secret number 1. Mentorship. Yes. When I give this seminar, I sometimes start with some brainstorming by making a whole list on the flip chart of all the different challenges, traps, difficulties, whatever. Whole big list, starting off with material attachments and jealousy and financial problems, problems with children, whatever you can imagine, a whole big list. And then I discuss a few secrets of success, and then we go back to the list and we see, do these 3 main secrets of success, do they offer the solution? And you will be amazed, yes, they do. These secrets of success are so simple. And one of them is, the foremost one of them is mentorship. If we have a mentor who we can trust, who we know this person will keep things confidential, will not blabber it around in the whole community. I mean, this is already such a difficult thing to find these days. Somebody who really keeps things confidential and doesn't tell a friend and this and that and. So confidentiality is so important that we can really open up and share our heart and our innermost fears and struggles and. But yeah, if we can develop that mentorship idea more, that will be so helpful. And interestingly, that's actually the contribution of the Vanaprastha ashram. Another big topic. I hope after this Grihastha book, I have a whole seminar on the Vanaprastha ashram, and that's going to be my next book. I hope Krishna will give me a few more years in this body, and I want to put these books together. Nobody talks about it. There's no understanding, And this is the main and foremost contribution of the Vanaprasthas. They have a wealth of life experience and wisdom, which they're meant to share with the younger generation of devotees, So, but if this giving and accepting shelter, if this is not even recognized as being important, so how can the Vanaprastha ashram develop if their main and foremost contribution is not even understood, right? So, and because the Vanaprastha ashram is not established, everybody runs with their family problems to the Diksha Guru. That's the situation. Or the sannyasis are... I had sannyasis sharing privately with me that 75% of all their energy is spent with family issues of their disciples. Yes. But that should not be like that. The sannyasi is not meant to deal with these things. The Vanaprasthas are meant to deal with this. They are meant to be the village elders who give the advice and guidance, but not the sannyasis. So big topic. So many big topics. Actually, hang on. You want her question or somebody else's? Because you asked already a few questions, so...
Chandramukhi wants to ask a question.
Okay, let's hear what Chandramukhi Mataji has to.
There's no more question in the audience as well. You want that? Or not?
Or do we have anybody here who hasn't asked a question yet?
I just wonder.
You? You were just scratching yourself? Or?
Continuing your secrets of
Success.
success of
Married life.
married life. What are the two other secrets?
The other secrets, they're very simple. Shravanam Kirtanam has to be foremost, you know, which means Bhagavatam, holy name, has to be a very vital part of our daily life. By the way, only then we can call family life an ashram. So Shravanam Kirtanam, devotee association, meaning practically, I always recommend living in walking distance to a temple. Yeah. Already when you live half an hour, 40 minutes drive away, you will think twice. Do I have the time to go? Or maybe not. But walking distance, you can pop in every day. Even just to take darshan has such an uplifting effect. Just 5 minutes darshan of the deities, Charnamrita, that already, you know? Yes, yes, yes. And I mean, I clearly understood this in Bangladesh. And I'm sharing this in my book. I put a lot of stories there from Bangladesh. And in Bangladesh, Muslim country, Hindus, 15% or something. No serious Hindu, I'm talking about Hindus here, not Vaishnavas, ISKCON devotees. No serious Hindu would want to live surrounded by Muslims. They all live in areas where the Hindus live. And in every area where the Hindus live is quite a few Hindu temples. And they have the tradition to go morning and evening to the temple. They still have that tradition, even though there is no Shravanam Kirtanam happening anymore in these Hindu temples. But at least they go, they put a coin in the box and say a little prayer. That culture is still there, morning and evening. Day starts by visiting a temple, finishes by visiting a temple. And that's where Prabhupada extricated the morning and evening program from. Yeah. You know. But if we live miles away, you know, difficult, you know. So, Shravanam Kirtanam, devotee association, and devotee association includes the mentorship, and the other one is simple living. Whole big topic, simple living, what that means. Yes. So these are the main and foremost secrets of success. And they indeed fix any problem. Any problem. If you're strong in Shravanam Kirtanam, you will have a spiritual outlook. If you have the devotee association, strong regular devotee association, once a week to go to the temple is not enough watering for the bhakti ladder. Very clear. Very clear. Yes. Bhakti ladder is a tropical plant. Needs lots of water. Just once a week, a few drops on the Sunday program. Sunday program is an outreach program, actually. It's not that nourishing for practicing devotees. You know, yes. How big topic, you know. So if we have Shravanam Kirtanam, strong devotee association, mentor, and truly simple living fixes any challenge. So what do we do now?
Angelina? No? So, Chandramukhi asked, where is this spiritual system mentioned in the Shastras? She wants to know.
Oh, the Bhagavatam is full of it, my God. You know? I mean, my books are all based on Prabhupada's words, mainly the Bhagavatam. It's all there. We just don't realize. We just read over it and park it, okay. You know, it's all in the Bhagavatam. I mean, the Bhagavatam is the law books for the next 10,000 years. Yeah, it's all there. It's all there. You may not find Krishna's system, the terminology there. I just call it like that. But my God, every page of the Bhagavatam, you know, Prabhupada says how things are meant to go. Oh, especially in the man-woman topic. Ooh, this book is full of heavy quotes. My God. Yes, it's all there.
I just wanted to say, I don't mean it like a provocative thing, but I just don't think that, that's my position now. Now, so it will be in the future. But I don't see it like these services that we do in the temple. I see them like an expression of devotion and bhakti.
Yes.
So, and therefore we are now here in the West, and we do,
yes.
And it's just an expression. For instance, when I do them, I don't think about it whether what body I have.
No, of course not. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know. The services in the temple is one thing, you know, but then also our personal life, especially in regards to man-woman thing, you know. Yes, if we want to keep, you know, stable and harmonious family life,
yeah.
I mean, this book has saved a lot of marriages. I get the letters from people telling me how it really saved their marriage. Yeah. Yes.
Can I ask just one more?
Yes.
Because what you speak about in the book is like an ideal example of how things should be. But sometimes we don't fit the role.
Yeah.
And also, like, I don't have kids, and I will never have kids. So I can't see myself in that sense. But I do have some other things how I see it. So, and also, like, I'm just talking about me personally now.
Yes.
I'm just focused more on, like, how can I do this service, how I can serve my spiritual master. And so,
yes.
I mean, we have a good marriage, so that's good. And we support each other, but we don't fit in this, like, you know, traditional family. But we do have Krishna, and we try our best.
Yeah. I mean, see, as I mentioned in the beginning, I am simply trying to give insights into Krishna's system. So, and then we simply have to decide where we want to be there on the spectrum, you know, of the modern system and Krishna's system. That's a completely individual thing. You know, there is a broad spectrum of all kinds of mixtures and shades and grades and so on, you know. So, you know, I am not trying to squeeze everybody in some box or something. No, we cannot impose. We cannot force on people. We can simply try to inspire a transformation. Yeah. Inspire a transformation, you know. And also, I dare say, you know, once we understand how modern life, really, we can almost bring it to that conclusion, or that conclusion, but that principle that what is seen as success in material life is unfavorable for spiritual life. Yeah, we have to be clear on this. So, and then we have to consciously see and decide, what do I want to invite from which culture into my life? You know? Yes. Yes. And I mean also in regards to, it's all pretty hot issues. But in regards to married life, You know, sometimes I meet people who say, yeah, all right, you know, according to the Vedic thing, a wife should be doing this, the husband should be doing that. But we just swapped our roles and we are fine. We have a nice marriage. So, but the point is, we are not only interested in a nice marriage, but we are interested in the purification. And when it comes to the false ego, it is indeed like that women in the practical day-to-day life, we women dissolve our ego by taking the humble position towards men. That's how we practice in daily life, especially in married life. My God, married life can be like the battlefield of false egos. You know? Who is right, who is wrong, just see, I told you so, and. Oh, my God, you know? Yes. So we women, and there's heavy purports in the Bhagavatam. Yeah. You know, so we women practice on the men how to give up our false ego. Even with kami men in the office. Yeah. I remember I was once giving this man-woman course in Germany, and one Mataji, she applied the principles with her colleagues at work, with her male colleagues. They don't know anything about Krishna system. But as soon as she applied them, they were also much nicer to her. The whole atmosphere in the office changed, she told me. And then whenever her ego went through with her again, boo, it was all destroyed, you know, and they were not so nice to her anymore. So that's the thing. So on the men in our life, we practice how to dissolve our false ego. And the men, they practice in a different way, should I ask you? Because male nature comes with a stronger false ego, just so he takes charge. That motivates him to take charge, because sometimes somebody has to play the role. And initially, it's the ego motivating a man to take charge, that he wants to play that role, you know. So very easily you can imagine, if you have a bunch of men on one spot, they all have a stronger ego, they all want to take charge, you're going to have some clashes amongst the men. So the men, in a practical day-to-day way, they dissolve their egos by cooperating with other men. That's Krishna's system. So now going back to married life, if a woman says, for example, well, we don't like the traditional way in our family, you know, she is the boss, and he goes along with it. They may have a nice marriage, but she runs the risk, because she's not practicing on him to dissolve our ego. She runs the risk, next life, man's body. Then Krishna says, okay, you want to dominate and lead, here we go, you get a male body, there you can do it as purifying duty. Because we can't go back to Godhead without dissolving the false ego. Subtle body of mind, intelligence, false ego has to be completely spiritualized, and all the material elements have to be dissolved. Of course we can say, let's hope for Krishna's causeless mercy. And the last phase in life is intensely purifying for the false ego. Oh, I described this in the false ego book. You know, the false ego is really crushed. You know, this old age and disease, my God. You know, when you see your body is falling apart, you can't control your bodily functions anymore, becoming incontinent, and all these things that is awaiting us, intensely purifying for the false ego. So, all right, we can say, maybe we'll manage in that phase, you know, to give up the false ego. But anyway, we don't know in what circumstances we will leave whether we get the chance to, have that last phase in life as our purifying journey there. We may just die in a car accident tomorrow or something. So, and if this false ego is not dissolved, another round in the material world,
So the whole point is like the humility.
Yes. So, and just we practice on the husband to dissolve the false ego, Yes. And I think we should take every chance we can get to practice, Yes, Prabhu.
I really appreciate how you stressed importance of mentorship and how you say that this will actually solve most of the problems.
Yeah.
But I also have personal experience where I saw young Grihastha couples. I have 2 instances where I saw and I spoke with some of them, and I could understand that they have specifically devotees in male bodies misunderstood the message of submissiveness of women and manipulated it. And coming from me in the male body, of course I understand my false ego to a certain degree. I understand that manipulated part that is so eager to hear, oh yes, your woman should be submissive. Of course that's the whole story, because then I can manipulate her as much as I want, right? Yes. So, and now coming to the point of really not having that many mentors, what would be your suggestion of what should we do? That we maybe detect this or make more aware devotees who are young Grihastha couples who are just at the beginning of their married life, how to avoid these traps or misconceptions.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, the men have to be qualified. They have to be Krishna conscious. I discussed that in the chapter on hierarchy in this book, That hierarchy, we had it in the Bhagavatam class the other day. Hierarchy means divine order. So hierarchy is actually Krishna's system for protection. And on the top of the hierarchy is Krishna. And everybody is meant to protect those below him. So in that hierarchy, higher and lower means who protects whom. Yeah. So then what happens when Krishna is removed from the hierarchy, meaning when people become less God conscious, then Krishna's divine system for protection turns into a system of exploitation. That people forget that they're a servant of Krishna. Krishna is not on top of the hierarchy. Everybody wants to take Krishna's position and be the top and suppress, abuse, exploit those below. So that's how the Varnashram system turned into the caste system. Or men suppressing and exploiting women. But we have to clearly understand the solution is not equality. The solution is to put Krishna back on the top of the hierarchy. Yes. Yes. So, and it means the men have a big responsibility. They are meant to protect the women and not use them and exploit them in one way or another. They're meant to be Krishna conscious and understand their function of protecting. But now the other thing is that woman's Shakti is so powerful that she can bring the very best out of a man, spiritually and materially. She can get the very best out of him and help him to develop himself to his best capacity. That's the Shakti of a woman. So, that's why, if we women do the right thing, then we have a good chance that he also responds properly. But he also needs a mentor. Yes. definitely. And I have come across this also a lot, that as a rule, if I can make some general statements, very often women are more open to talk. They digest things by talking, you know. So for women, often not so difficult to open up and talk to somebody about their difficulties. But sometimes he is just not willing, you know, to hear anything and talk to anybody, and then you got a problem. Because, yeah, it's always the two have to be willing to work on themselves, you know, because the classic thing in married life is people point the finger at the other person. Yes, my husband, if he would just do the right thing. Yes, my wife, she doesn't do the right thing. You know, it's another sign of the false ego, you know, that we point the finger at the others. Everything is fine with me, it's the other person. And like this, you cannot get anywhere. You know, both sides have to be willing to work on themselves and accept guidance. And then you've got a good chance to, you know, for success. But in any case, I do want to conclude with this one statement. The main and foremost entity which does not like spiritual culture is the false ego. Definitely. The false ego rebels. What? You know? Yeah. It really is like that. It really is. It took me also a lot of time to understand these things. Yes, but it really is. And it's very clear, because material life is all about feeding and boosting the ego, and here comes spiritual life beating it on the head. Ego will not like it. Ego will protest and rebel and bull. You know, very clear. But the whole Vaishnava culture is designed for us to dissolve the false ego. Yes, it's designed for that. That's why it's good to invite as many aspects as we can, you know, because it's helpful. It's helpful. Yes. Even trivial, seemingly external things, as wearing devotional clothes, even covering the head, has a subtle effect. It helps to cultivate humility. It's not just an external thing. It's really there. You can make an experiment. 2 weeks you don't cover your head, 2 weeks you cover your head. If you're a little perceptive, you will feel the difference. Yeah. So there is always a deeper meaning there. And the main thing is to help us dissolve, you know, the false ego, because only then the heart is in the right frame of mind, I almost said. The heart is right, you know, to cultivate bhakti. Chinadapi sunichina, you know, yes, yes. Otherwise we cannot take advantage of the holy name, actually. Yes. That was also my realization after conducting so many holy name retreats. If we don't parallel work on the false ego and the culture, it's like an elephant taking bath, you know? We take bath and then we fall, you know, elephant throws the dust back on the back. So that's what happens. You go in a holy name retreat, oh very nice, but then we get all back into our ego patterns of behaviors. And we don't get anywhere. Yes. So it has to be parallel. Chanting the holy name, Vaishnava etiquette and culture. Without Vaishnava etiquette and culture, we don't get very far. We may be able to come to the temple and perform services. That's only the external part. You know, the main part is the internal transformation to actually become Trinadapi Sunichana. You can go for lifetimes to the temple and do your service, and you may maintain your subtle things there, you know, 10th offense, to maintain material attachments even after you understanding so many instructions in this matter. So one of the most subtle attachments is that ego gratification. I'm right, she is wrong, and you know, so we may just cling to that, you know, and then we can't take advantage of chanting the holy name fully. So without the Vaishnava etiquette and culture, we don't get very far. Yes. Doesn't matter whether it's the Western world or whatever it may be.
Can I quickly ask that question?
7 o'clock. The last one, very last one.
Yeah, and very quick one.
Okay.
After all these years, are you happy with your decision of starting the practice of, like, the women came in front and did the arati?
No.
No?
No.
But it was a good practice. I mean, women come from the back.
I mean, you know, in those days, you know, you imagine you have 20 brahmacharis there in the front. There was not half, but the men were in the front, the women were in the back. So the poor brahmacharis, you know, and, you know, the brahmacharini there doing her arati. All right, I was hiding a bit behind the curtain, but it was definitely ego-driven. My God, of course. Yes, that was my German conditioning. Of course. No, I'm not proud of it. No.
It's a good practice and good for us now.
See, let's understand, you know, development of bhakti is not dependent,
Yes.
you know, where we stand, in the front, in the back, whether we do the arati or not.
Yes.
You know, my God, no. I just shared that to show you that I didn't always have these convictions and understandings, that I started on the ego-driven feministic equality thing, you know. But thank God, by the power of devotional service, I have transformed a little bit, you know. Thank God. And there's still a lot of more work to be done, you know. Yes.
Thank you for sharing the story.
Okay. Yeah, so sorry that I kept you for so long. For me, always difficult to give short answers, you know. Yes, I enjoyed my time with all of you, and I hope it was giving some little insights and inspirations. And if there's anybody here who hasn't got any books yet, so here's your chance. Okay, thank you so much for arranging all this.
Thank you for speaking for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, well, I can speak for hours, you know, especially if I have a bit of a support for my voice, you know.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Yeah.
all for coming and asking questions.
Also, next week, Saturday, we have a Mataji Sangha.
Yeah. So if you like to come at 4 o'clock in Prabhupada's museum, now you're staying in the museum. Sometimes we have it there. But in Prabhupada's museum, if you like to come and join.
Okay,
Devaki might
please come.
share more. So,
More intimate circle amongst women.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Prema.